just realizing my playlists are getting old. I've been playing the same playlist over and over and over. I have to admit, I'm not one of those people who's good at other things. Like, I don't have I'm not a well-rounded person. I know a lot about art, and that's about it. Like, I don't really wine. I don't know, um, I don't know. I don't know a lot. So, like, music-wise, I don't know anything with music. I mean, I took piano, but I wasn't all that stupendous at it. But one of my favorite channels on TikTok is new bands for old heads, because it's like I like music, but I don't have the energy to find music. So that's why I think. Can I ask you to put her out? You. I know. Why are you so mad about it? You really don't think? I did a video on TikTok and we're having this discussion. I think you need to think about your bias. But we're having a debate here at my house about sex work. but that's, I did a video. I don't like people getting bullied on the internet, which is funny because I like to bully people on the internet. I don't actually like to bully people on the internet. I do like to stand up for myself, so I don't go to other people's channels and bully them over there. I don't actually comment on other people's channels, debate. I'll be like, good job, or I'll say something, but I don't usually debate people in comments. Especially now, because I have yesterday I forwarded a video for this grad student who's really, really great, who talks about fascism, and I just said, excellent video. Oh, that's a good question, Niraj. That then people always, because I have enough of a platform at TikTok, and so many people hate me on the internet, that if I comment, people will often comment on my comment just to harass me. So I usually delete my comments. But if they start doing that, but then I was, but I don't like when people just bully. And there was a sex worker who all these people were bullying them. I think they might. I don't know if they're trans. I didn't quite get it. I just saw the bully, the response to the bullies. But historically, there's a lot of in a lot of times in history, sex work was just another job, right? So you can't use history to be see, it's right. See, sex work is bad when that's not really true. You can't use fake history to bully people. I don't like that. I think that the art theft was. I do think it's that guy. I know people have said it isn't. That I think that it was an inside job. What? What?
The thermostat fell and broke.
Oh. What do you think about the gardener? And anybody who's on the channel that has a pinned comment, the four of you, where it says live for 3.38 minutes, you're on my old account. And everyone knows this is when I'm both chatting and trying to post. And we're listening to a new playlist. I don't know if I like this vibe. This is okay. The other thing I'm experiencing is the lengths of my hair. my old videos. Oh, I didn't mean to put this Lice video up. I like this song. It sounds so retro. Good morning, Marilee. You're on my old account. Welcome, and my new account is pinned. That's why I'm doing it. This is my office hours / posting old videos time slot. I started late though. I had a little bit of a sinus headache. Good morning, mine. My husband does not like mine. Like really doesn't like them. I feel neutral about mine. I used to work with a woman. We partnered with like the theater association for a long time, who was a very good mime. I have to say, she was very, very good. But kind of freakishly good. Good morning, Katarina. Katarina K. I said this before, but I always love alliteration. Sounds good. Thank you, Marilee. I am over there, and you get to enjoy some of my old videos again. Because I'm reposting. I'll repost like... So I had 1,000 videos. Got it. I had 1,000 some videos on my old channel, it turns out. So I'm reposting, I think we decided like 400 old ones in the end. I did a video a while ago about this sort of the Pokemon stupidity at the Van Gogh Museum. They had that like special Pokemon, and then all those people like bought it to sell it on the secondary market. I think the secondary market. I think that the sad thing about humanity is we will always try to find a scam. There's always the people who are like the get rich folks. And then, of course, somebody does get rich, and then everybody else tries to do it. But the Van Gogh Museum had a Pokemon card that like went awry. I've never bought anything like that went up in value. I don't like buy sneakers, or I don't have that thing. I like this song. This song is good. Don't pick sides. Hard to find time to live the life. I can show. Yeah, I had swatches like as a kid. I mean, I like to collect things as like a little kid. Like I had a swatch, but I never had that. My brother definitely had the like collect, trade, make money. I did not have that. They had like a skill, like always getting the newest Nintendo. It's just a really like a good ability, and like literally, I mean, baseball cards. I mean, collected everything, and like we couldn't touch anything. Comic books, baseball cards, figures like Star Wars figures. I just like wanted one that was cool, and I'd be happy. Like I always wanted Yoda. I felt a very big affinity to Yoda because he was short. But like still, and then his son is a big collector. Anybody who just saw Cooch Patrol should know that you're on my old channel. You like collecting, but you don't think that is investment. Yeah, I don't like collecting either. I'm not a collector. I'm not a thing person. I mean, like I like stuff. I mean, like I have a lot of stuff, and I like stuff, but I'm not like a collector. Maybe the only thing I collect is like my own clothing that I don't want it. I don't care if it increases in value, and I don't buy expensive clothing. Like this is literally from high school, and it was at a thrift store. It was actually at a church sale. I love looking at people's vintage stuff. I love people looking at people's collections. I think maybe because I used to work in collecting. I don't. Hey, Allie, how are you? It is early for you, is it? It's 7 here. I still wear the clothes I got 30 years ago. But if I've worn them in between. In fact, my college roommate is coming to visit. One of my old college roommates is coming to visit with his family. And he was like, when I think of you, like message, we have a group chat. He's like, I always think you're going to be in a cardigan. I was like, I am always in a cardigan. I've been wearing I have not changed my style since I was in high school. For sure. Literally wear the same clothes. I mean, I have new clothes too, but like, I just mix it up. And Zanebi and Allie, you're on my old channel. Oh, is it? It's snowing. Oh, it's not snowing here. Oh, my high school uniform fits. My kid wears mine. Or she's taller than me, so it like looks like it looks like a belt for her. I didn't go to prom. Took my prom dress with me. I don't have one. Oh, I do have to tell you, connoisseur, I got demonetized on my old account, so I had to start a new one. Not monetized there yet, which is why we can listen to music. Oh yeah, my husband had that. He didn't really want to. And it was funny because when we were dating, we started dating when I was right out of college. Yeah, right out of college. So I guess like prom was kind of not too long ago, but he was like, I saw his prom date. He was like, "Oh, you're dating him? I used to date him." And he was like, "We got set up at prom because I had to go to prom." Like, I don't think we dated. Like, I would never have gone. I still like if I was in high school now, I wouldn't. Though you couldn't pay me to go back to high school. I liked high school. I had a good experience. Like I still like know my high school people. I went to a small high school, so like we all like are kind of in touch, in each other's business, as it were. Good morning, Rue. You are on my old channel. I am here to tell people I'm on my old channel and to post videos. This is my office hours time, where I post old videos and get caught up on transferring my channel. I'm married. Sorry, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry that I'm married. I've been married for a long, long time. I do think that my spouse. I always wonder, like, because I'm such a pain in the ass. I think it's really funny. He puts up with a lot. I think it's because my hand, when you see it, it's my right hand, but it's mirrored, so it looks like it's my left hand, but my left hand is weird. I think that's why people are like, "Wait, you're married?" And it's because you think this is my left hand, but it's my right hand. So the other days I was drawing with my left hand. I'm ambidextrous. Thank you, Allie. Oh, thank you, Ellie. I have to say, I will say that I remember watching Pretty in Pink and her dress. And honestly, if I had wanted it, we like all talked about it. I went to a school that was all girls. So like we could have gone with each other. Like a lot of people did that. But like also none of I couldn't find a dress I really loved. And I have to say, if I found a dress I loved, I probably would have gone to prom with my friends. But all of us, like none of us, my friends were all like very different sizes. And like we had such a like one of them became everyone was like in the arts. I know, good. Um I hated that dress. I thought it was hideous. It was so hideous. I remember one of my friends, so all my friends were like in the arts. We were like theater kids. I know that's a surprise. And my friend used to make even then historical costumes. That's what she got her degree in. And we hated that dress. It was so ugly. We would talk all the time about how we would have made it better. We were like, it was better before you wrecked it, Molly Ringwald. That dress was busted. It was so ugly. I mean, I wasn't a teen during Pretty in Pink. Like I watched it like later, you know, so maybe like that was cool then. I don't think so though. I don't think people when she was there thought that was a cool dress. I don't know. I don't know I don't know if I know anybody. I mean, I don't know if I know anybody who would be like the right generation to have seen it like in the movie theater and be like, oh, it's the best dress. But it was terrible. It was like an old person who thought what a young person would do. Yeah, my daughter too. Because you know the thing about those movies, like I loved them because I was like young, right? So like I was like a kid when they came out, and so I loved them. Like I loved them. But then my kids, we went to the place where Goonies was filmed, like sort of accidentally. I had to go there for work, and then we like got there. I had to go there for work, and then we realized that's where Goonies were filmed. And we saw the house and like everything, and it's a cute town. It's a beautiful place in Oregon. And so then we came home and my husband were like, oh my God, Goonies was so good, right? And then we watch it and my kids were like, this is terrible. What was happening? People made fun of special needs people. They made fun of Asians like this. I was like, oh, I guess they did. And so like all of those movies, like now, like Pretty in Pink is awful. It's awful. So like I was like, oh, never mind. Like I had to like redo it. So I don't know that they've seen it actually. Because it's really bad. Like there's a lot of bad. Like what were we thinking? I mean, I was little, but still, what were we thinking? So many bad things. I know. There was something else in Buffy. So Buffy's like my generation. Like I'm like a little bit younger than Buffy herself, the actress, and like I was saying, like, because my kids are like, what's happening? These kids are just running wild without phones. And I was like, we did that. Oh, I haven't seen the scary movies since they came out. I saw them in the theaters. But like Buffy, some of that, yes, I loved Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I loved her. But Buffy, my kids were like, these girls are just wandering around. And I was like, yeah, they did. Like, we did that. Like, I don't know. The world was different. Like some of the things I'm like, yeah, we did that. I know. But I think the 80s were a mean time. I don't really remember them great, but like looking back on the media, I'm like, ooh, I think there was it was a mean time. What time is it? 7:12. All right, I got an hour before I have to go to work. I should do a little more scheduling. Yeah, I think everyone was. Well, I was saying, I don't know who was talking about this. We were talking about like how many people had a drink at lunch, like a martini at lunch. But like, there's all those jokes about like pilots who used to drink. Like, I think the 80s, like, how did we all survive? Oh, really? She's a little older than me. I bet it was. The 90s weren't wild like that. I mean, the 90s were so like different. You know, I was saying that I did a video. Maybe I put it here. I can't. Right now, I've like gotten so lost on what videos on which channel because now I have two YouTubes accidentally, and then TikTok and Instagram. But I did a video the other day because I've noticed a lot of people on TikTok and on then it obviously is on Reels too, who are pretending to be from the 80s. Right? They're like the 80s were better, except for the 80s was like the same trickle down economy problems we have now, and there was a lot of problems in the 80s. And the 80s, like, I'm from the Rust Belt, and the 80s were terrible for the Rust Belt. We lost so many American jobs then. And I was like coming up, I was a teen in the 90s, but like the 90s was so depressing, right? Because like, I mean, basically the 90s, yeah, I mean, Reagan really sucked. The 90s was like terrible because the 90s is like if you graduated in the odds like 08, 06, 08, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's sort of how the 90s were, because we were coming out and there was literally no jobs. There's a whole careers were disappearing. Like the world was ending. And so like I think it's very interesting that all these people are going back to the 80s. And I was like, yeah, I mean, but that was like all inflated. It was all fake. I know. Like Miami Vice was literally about that's what it was about. Like, I mean, I didn't watch it. I was definitely too young to have watched it like on TV, and then it's not like something that was on reruns. But when I look at the pictures, I was like, that's what this is about. Like this is literally, I think, about like running drugs. I think also the thing that's really hard about the one thing I do think is true and why people are going back to like looking at the 80s, I do think like it's very hard to be an individual in our era. Right, like we were talking about prom and like I was one of like the artsy kids and like we could be ourselves. It's very hard to be different now. Both because there's so much normative culture, but also because it's hard to find difference given that there's everything's available to you. Like we were talking about collecting. I mean, these days you don't actually have to collect. Yeah, Niraj, I'm right on the edge. I'm a Zennial, officially. Is there a Tylenol or something over there? Yeah. Oh, you know what? Yeah. Yeah, Tylenol or something. It's not a sinus headache. It's right here. I don't know if it doesn't sleep. I've seen Scarface, but a long time ago. It is a good movie. I'm not such a movie person. So there you go. And my attention span for movies has decreased considerably. Thank you, honey. I have done videos about NFTs. I can do more. I did them on some channel. Who knows where they are? Who knows? But I could add it to the list. I'll grab my little book in a second. Don't buy them. Oh yeah, the Hudson Valley was just like wrecked. I knew a person who ran a really cool nonprofit. I mean, that's the thing. One of the things I think that's so hard, and neither the Democrats nor the Republicans deal with this. The Republicans act like they do. They do lip service to this. There are so many places in America, and I would say I only know the like. I only know the east of like. I don't know like I don't know the West all that well. I don't know the West super well, but I know like California, and I know like from Ohio to the east, to the west, to the east. Sorry, there are so many small towns that are basically have like they lost their economy. I mean, the Central Valley of California is like so burned out. It's like awful. And so like, I mean, I think about this a lot. Part of our problem as a culture is that like so many people live in a place that used to have jobs. Right? Like if you drive, if you go to, I had to give a talk in Pennsylvania at State College, and like Pennsylvania is just burned out. I mean, there are towns that like, and it must be awful to be from a small town that's from like, there's no job anywhere. And then there's like literally houses that are crumbling around you. I mean, I live in the Rust Belt is like that, but we also have other things, right? There's parts of every Rust Belt city that is like crumbling. I mean, Baltimore like isn't Rust Belt, but it's the same. There's so much poverty in the United States, but it's like what's hard is it's like working poverty, right? It's like very different than like I don't know Indian poverty or African poverty or like so we perceive it differently, but also part of the problem is there's like really no way out short of moving. The most depressing, maybe one of the most depressing books I ever read was a book called Ohio. And I think one of the things that's also very hard in our states is that we are very, very split. So like it's not my Ohio. Like I read it and I was like, I don't know. I've never known anybody from rural Ohio. I don't like we don't mix, we don't mix in most of these states. Like we're not like you know, so like and it was about like basically the drugs and the crime and the fact that in a lot of rural places like there was no jobs. And then if there are jobs, like it's not like you can get a remote job if you've never had a job. Like yeah, right. Like these people who are like, let the red states suffer. I mean, are we that inhumane? Yeah, exactly. People were totally left behind. I made a video about that on TikTok, and so many people got mad at me, both on the left and the right. And I was like, one, I honestly don't think that MAGA is dumber or that the left is smarter. That is completely not true. I mean, when you read some of these when you watch some of these leftist videos, I was like, oh wow, reasoning isn't easy for you. And then, yeah. I mean, like what? You're gonna like do a remote job from Appalachia? And that's the other thing. Like, I worked I live in an Appalachian state, and I've worked a lot with like trying to do distance learning education to Appalachian communities. And trying to fund Appalachian communities. And one of the biggest problems is infrastructure. So like you could have the best wish on the planet. We had like earmarked funds that we just used to not be able to spend year in, year out for like 20 years. Because they didn't have the right fiber optics. They couldn't connect. We'd connect and the school of this connection was terrible. Like you could wish for it. Yeah, Youngstown's real tough. I've actually never, I don't think I've actually been to Youngstown. But it's tough. Youngstown's tough. Yeah. And I had a friend who worked in Pennsylvania and did a lot of rural medicine. And they were talking about like part of the problem is like the roads themselves to get to a mid-sized like city hospital is hard. I was doing a video, I don't know when, this was like, I don't know what the topic was, but in Missouri, there are like whole counties without a hospital. I don't remember why I was talking about it. Oh, I think it was during COVID. Like statistically, during the Spanish influenza, you were more likely to have healthcare than you were during COVID. Because our hospital systems have like centralized and to like save money or make money or whatever they're doing. And so like there was like a big outbreak, and I'm positive the state was Missouri, but like I was talking about it, and like basically those people would have to drive like so far to get to a hospital. I know. It's crazy. Like if anybody, I always think this, like if somebody came down, like some alien came down with like, okay, let's see how you're deciding things here. Ooh, that seems not to make any sense. Like, like, huh. Oh, really? I didn't know that about the Netherlands. My knowledge of the Netherlands stops at like 1800. I mean, I did a lot of Dutch art, but like I stopped. That's the other thing about my knowledge base. It's all based on art. So if it doesn't involve art, I'm pretty like screwed. I need to so much. Yeah, I actually, it's funny. Like I used to work with a lot of people from Youngstown, and Youngstown is real tough. Oof. I think the other thing about cities, I was talking about this with somebody from Detroit. Like, there's a lot of places, and this is the other thing that I think about moving that's so interesting is like home is still home, right? Like, I love the Rust Belt. Like, I love Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Cleveland. But I grew up there, and I grew up going to like experiencing those cities, and I know what they are, and um, like particularly my mother worked in urban medicine, so like I spent a lot of time in cities, and so to me that's I understand the beauty of it. I'm not like there's no rose colored glasses. I know what that's like, but I also know how to navigate those spaces. Like, to me it would be a lot more scary to be broken down in the middle of like a farm field. I would be very scared. But if I was broken down like in a city, I'd be okay. Like, I don't have like a, you know, but like that's the other thing I think that's very hard. People don't Windsor. I always make videos. I always make jokes about Windsor. It reminds me of being like 19 years old, crossing the border. But I think for a lot of people who are from like, especially people who are transplants, I know this is about people who move to a bigger city like in their adulthood, and so they kind of own that as their personality. Like people who move to New York or Chicago or whatever, they think of all of this other spaces that they don't like as flyover land. But that's somebody's home. That's somebody's beautiful, right? It's not. I mean, like I don't know that I look at like farms and like that's my beautiful, but that's somebody's beautiful. That's somebody's home. And I think we've lost that ability to empathize, and like see that as beautiful. I will say, I did a video about Canada on my TikTok because like I don't know what the Trump administration is thinking to even start anything with Canada. I mean, I don't think that they actually realize how close it is. Like, none of them are from the Northeast. And how culturally, if you're from the Northeast or if you're from a border, you don't got beef with them. Like, they're our neighbors. Like, I am literally closer to Canada than I am to Kentucky. Like, or to Columbus. Yeah, I'm literally closer to Canada than Columbus. Like, I got no beef with them. I certainly don't want a border war living on the border. Like, like, what are you thinking? But also culturally, I have nothing in common with people from the American West. I have lots in common with people from Ontario. Like, we have the same lake. We are great. I mean, the Great Lakes Canadians, culturally, I see them more like me than anybody from, I don't know, South Carolina. And like, so I don't think that the Trump administration understands, like, and I'm not even like on a land border state. I'm on a water border state. I don't think he understands, like, if you're from Maine or Vermont or New Hampshire, you don't see Texans like you, but you probably see Canadians like you. Like, so like I think that he doesn't quite get that. Like, that's a problem. But I was doing videos about Canada, and I've traveled extensively in Canada. I have family there and friends there. And I was saying something about like I actually really love New Brunswick. I love the Maritimes in general. That's like really pretty for me. I just think it's so pretty. And somebody said, I've never heard anybody say New Brunswick. No, never heard anybody make a video about how like nice New Brunswick is. And like, I mean, I get it. It's very rural. But like, but that's the other thing. We can find beauty in something that isn't like where we grew up. Like, I didn't grow up anywhere there's like it's. I didn't grow up anywhere like that, right? Like, but it's pretty. Like Labrador, it's like the moon. I mean, it's just like there's so many interesting things out there. I don't have to like that's the other thing. You don't have to live in these flyover places to be like they might like it. Hey nah, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're just chatting and I'm posting videos. This is my time. This is my office hours every day. Where I post videos. Old videos. How is next week March? It is pretty. I think New Brunswick is really pretty. I think it's hard to get to. We drove through Maine. But it is very pretty. Prince Edward Island is insanely pretty. Like the colors are just crazy. The Labrador is really pretty too. I mean, there's like Canada is just like there's so many beautiful places. Like the West is beautiful. Amish live. I don't. You know what's interesting? So I grew up like there's Amish, right? I grew up with Amish, not like personally. Though I did go to college with a guy whose mother was Amish and she had left, and she married her dad had been a teacher. His dad was a teacher, and they taught in Amish country. And it was really interesting because he was from. So I would say like I grew up with Amish because they come into the city to work, and he was like, "You didn't grow up with Amish," because he was from like Holmes County, which is like the big Amish county in Ohio, and he was like, "You didn't grow up with Amish." I was like, "You're right, I didn't grow up with Amish." Like you would, like we would go, like everyone like would go out. I'm gonna tell you, nah, plop. If you feel like it might be, maybe you should think that out. I'm not easily offended, but I encourage you not to put negativity out in the world. How about that? So frame it carefully. If you feel like you're nervous, I bet there's a reason. That's what I always say to my children. If it seems like a bad idea, it probably is. Geez, I have a lot of videos. I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, I do a podcast, though I haven't done it in ages, and I don't know that we'll ever do it again because we're all so swamped. My podcast co-host is an artist who lives in New York, but from Queensland, and then went to school in Melbourne. And we've done videos. Actually, their sister works in the government, and so it's in Canberra. And we were talking about, I think actually both countries are very hard for the other country to understand. Like Australia, and I think Australia is like our like busted, like I think we're like cousins. I think that Canada and the US are twins who were separated at birth. It's like, you know, like those twins where one smokes and one doesn't, and they meet each other at adults, and they're like, oh, I could have looked good, or I could have looked busted. That's how I think Canada and US is. I definitely think that. Whereas like Australia's like our cousin, kind of like we have things in common, but it's like different. But I think that the thing that Australians don't understand is because the scale is the same. So they see like, but it's just as big. But they don't understand that our population dispersal is different. I think the other thing about Australia is that the way that we were populated is so different. That's why I think Canada and us are like more like separated at birth, because like population wise, our cities kind of grew, and then we had a lot of ethnic immigrants, and like we obviously have enslaved people, but they have like the descendants of enslaved people. So like there's a lot of similarities, whereas Australia, I think there's like a lot of difference from us. And so they don't, because they don't, like, one of the things she talks about, we did a podcast episode all about Australia, is how like incredibly racist Australia is. And they pretend like we're really racist, but they're not, but they're like super racist. And I have cousins from Sydney who talk about it all. Like, I actually, my cousins made it sound like Australia was just like the most racist. I think actually what it is that you're used to the racism you grew up with. So it's like the normal level of racism to you. Like, it doesn't bother me that like there's places in my state I would never go. Yeah, like I'm totally okay with not going to rural places. It doesn't like bother. I didn't want to go there anyway. It doesn't bother me. But that is racism, right? That's like structural racism. So like, I think for one thing that's hard is Australians don't understand, and they really can't. I think one thing I always think about when I make videos or like talk to people who are international is that there's so much nuance and difference in the US. I work with an international team that they can't because they have so much of our media, they think they understand us and they don't. Right? And so they don't get like one of my colleagues was like, did you grow up like, is it like where Eminem grew up? And I was like, no, I mean, Detroit looks a lot like Cleveland, but like I am not, like, it's different, right? Like like when you talk about urban environments, even then there's like class that's part of it. So, like you're not gonna, and I think that there's so much nuance. I mean, it's true about other countries, but I think the difference is that we don't get their media. Like I don't get a whole lot of Brazilian media. And when I get English media, it's like, so I know I don't know the UK. America's a mosh pit of characters. It sure is. I'll tell you now. Where in France are you? So much. You. Yeah, I mean, and I think like, I think also, I mean, one thing that saddens me about the US, we were talking about like, like my youth. One of the things that saddens me about the US, hey there, sweet Dev. We're just chit chatting while this is my, oh yeah, Plop, I can definitely do videos about textiles in India. Yep. I have one about embroidery. I put it up on the new channel. I had a lot on my old channel. I can put some up for sure. My friend. She comes. What were we talking about? What really saddens me is how much less regional culture we have. There's a lot. I did one about saris the other day, and I said, and this is true, that Indians were known for exporting textiles. So it was really a market that made them come up with all sorts of techniques. And Plop, where in France are you? My face is the front of shop. My face is the real shop front. International politeness is complicated. I hear that. Oh, where near Paris are you? Which part? Since I studied art, I worked a lot on French art. Actually, French textiles a little bit. I worked with a lot of French museums as well. There's something called the French Regional and American Museum Exchange. So I worked on that. I will say this, my daughter is a French student, and she was in Paris last year for a little while, but then she went to Lyon. She hates Paris, and she loves Lyon. So, Allie, I would definitely tell you, fly if you're going to PEI. Don't drive. We drove. I don't know what the hell we were thinking. It is stunning. But you know what? When I went to PEI, we went because my kids also. I loved. Oh, okay. I know where you were. We went because I loved the Anne of Green Gables books, and my kids loved them. But it is a cult. They were luckily old enough. People did come dressed like them. They weren't like that. But when you go to PEI, it's enormous. When she's talking about going to like the White Sands Hotel from her place, it would have been crazy on that little cart she was on. Prince Edward Island is huge. That's how I feel about Victoria too. But like, you know, like the island in BC, Victoria, it's so big. When I went to both, I've done this. Compare it to Manhattan. That's funny, Neeraj. Compare it when you get to these islands. Yeah, when you get to these islands, compare them to Manhattan. PEI isn't that giant, isn't as giant as Victoria, but you get there, and I remember both times with my kids, I was like, just so you know, because it's huge. PEI is big, but like Victoria's just huge. I mean, I don't know. The island, I'm pretty sure like the island of Victoria is like, let's see. Yeah, all these islands, the Canadian islands are so big. Some of those Canadian islands are huge. But even like Montreal is smaller than Manhattan. Yeah, I believe that about PEI. Montreal is smaller than Manhattan, but like Montreal, and also I think the difference with Montreal is I do feel like the Hudson and the East River make Manhattan feel like an island, like you can tell, plus like the Staten Island ferry. But Montreal doesn't feel as islandy to me. Like I feel like it feels more like just land, sort of. Just the way it's laid out is sort of different. I don't know. This song isn't my vibe. I'm going to switch it. All right, let's see if I scheduled all that I need to schedule today. Oh, we have two more. A few more. Oh, I have a lot more to schedule. I'm chitty chatting here. I got a new pair of shoes and my hair done. Where's anymore? Damn, when I'm gonna meet a millionaire son. I'm bored of being the rare one. I'm the chairwoman, never take a dare. I don't really care for me. I've never been to Alaska. I haven't had a great desire to. My daughter's old babysitter is a grown-up now, and she does travel nursing. And so she was living in Alaska for a while, and our girls wanted to go, but it's like expensive to go to Alaska. You kind of have to want to. And I admit I'd rather go to Europe than Alaska. Oh yeah, American Tourister. I find Paris fine. I don't dislike it or like it. I feel very neutral about Paris. All right, I'm gonna buckle down a minute and post some videos. Since this is supposed to be a work-in session, and I only have 18 minutes before I have to go to work. I love Halifax. It's such a great arts community. They must have a lot of provincial money, right? For arts or something? I don't know. I just feel like they must. I will definitely. There's been a lot of requests now, but I will put some on the list for sure. Good morning. I don't love this song either. This playlist is just so to me. But that's like what you have to do with art music, right? Play new stuff. I very rarely feel pressure, not pop.
The one who works all day, the one who goes all night. I'll be wearing my pajamas, fenced like a cloth. When you come in my room, you can rip them right. The one who keeps me smiling all night.
I was chitty chatting. I haven't done a good job of scheduling. I didn't realize how many videos I had to schedule.
In the morning you'll be yawning, I'll just be see you later. Got a lot of stuff to do, hun, and I just wanna make you wait, yeah. In the scene I make you scream. I'm the liquid to your dream. I'm the leader of your team. I'm the sun and you're the beat.
Oh yeah, I haven't done those in a while. I should put more of those on. Yeah, I will say that one thing that one of my friends who grew up in New Brunswick told me, which when before we went there was really good. Every time you see gas, fill it in, even if you don't need it, because there's a lot of Canada, and Quebec is like crazy like that. That it's just I don't mean it's empty, but there's just like nothing. I also feel like that about like the border, like way northern Quebec on the way towards Labrador, just empty. Beautiful, but good morning.
I'm looking at the screen, I'm looking at the screen, I'm staring at it, I'm staring at it. I wanna be seen, I wanna be seen. The better at it, the better at it. I'm holding
Hey, that's not nice.
forget about it, forget about it. Different
I
team,
think she has anxiety.
different team, same habit, still love.
Good morning, Carlos. How are you? This is my regular office hours where I chat with people to force myself to schedule videos. So I can get my backlog up and running. And it turns out I have a lot of videos. Yeah, it sort of sounds like it, right? I'm not sure if I'm not loving this playlist. They have great playlists, so I try to try them out once in a while. It's not my fave. This is that new bands for old heads. Oh, so do I have to.
Oh, yeah.
It was cool, Green Gables. Didn't you think Green Gables was cool?
Okay. I apologize. Yes, we could get
I don't know. A lot of the artists I know from Eastern Canada are Indigenous, but I don't know if they get special funding. I actually don't know. Yeah, I've heard that about the Australians. Or to Polynesia, right? To Papua New Guinea. I do think I love that movie or that TV show, The Tourist. Isn't that what it's called? With that guy who's Northern Irish. He's funny. Jamie Dornan, that's it. I love him. I think he's so funny. Enjoy, Carlos. They were like driving in I don't know where, the bush. I don't know where they were. I mean, I don't know Australia well enough to say, but it looked like it was so like empty. Oh, really? I believe that. Honestly, I think the art market is so messed up. I would never buy Allie. I would never, if I had real money, I'd be real careful buying things. Yeah, if you're gonna buy it for investment, you gotta be real careful. Yeah, I think so too. Speculating in the art market is hard. 10 more minutes here, y'all. Oh, really? Yeah, I know that podcast. I always think, like, when I lose, I used to think this the first time I started my channel. When you have so few followers, when you lose one, you're always like, I wonder what made you disappear. Yeah, I don't think I would want to do that kind of drive either. See you later. I'm not here tomorrow. I'm out of town, but then I'm back on Sunday. I don't think I'm going to do April Fool's videos. I did it last year on YouTube, on TikTok, and I think people got confused. See you later, Jennifer.
Machinery, catharsis, technology, transcendence, trial, high-strung, golden riches, pearly supermarket, citizens arrest, gas station, phantom pain, therapist, showways, parking garage, private property, killing point, agenda, body, legs, skin, sinew, good luck, arms, legs, skin, sinew, good luck, arms, legs, skin, sinew, arms, legs, skin, sinew, arms, legs.
You probably want a car that doesn't use a lot of gas too, right? I'm deeply not a musician, but I wonder like how they come up with their stuff. How do you come up with your style? Is it stuff you listen to and then you want to make the same stuff?
I've done the questionnaire like never in my life, but I've got a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, I haven't ever really listened to a lot of it, but I hear people on TikTok making fun of it.
God rest her soul. Can you feel
believe.
What? You heard this one before. Girls like us are rotten to the core.
All right, friends. It's time for me to go to work. And I got the scheduling done. I chitty-chatted more than I could have, but there we go. That's the truth of my life. Yeah, I don't know if I know any of that. All right, have a good day, everyone.